As a preacher was taking his afternoon stroll for contemplation, he came upon a young boy riding in a little red wagon. The preacher watched as one of the wheels fell off, and the little boy gets out to put the wheel back on. "Son of a bitch!" the little boy exclaims. He puts the wheel on, climbs back in, and starts on his way. Dismayed, the preacher decides to follow the young boy, hoping for an opportunity to assist in mending the lad's ways. A little further along, two wheels fall off the wagon. "Son of a bitch!" is heard again. Not sure how to proceed, the preacher only observes as the little boy replaces the two wheels, climbs back into the wagon, and goes on his way. Still, the preacher follows. This time, three wheels fall off the wagon, and again the little boy exclaims, "Son of a bitch!" This time, the preacher says, "My son, if it happens again, try saying, 'Lord, help me.'" The little boy agrees, puts the three wheels on the wagon, and begins again. Not much further, all four wheels fall off the wagon. The little boy is sitting in the wagon with it flat on the ground and says, "Lord, help me." All of a sudden, all four wheels pop back onto the wagon. "Son of a bitch!" says the astonished preacher. Ed and Carolyn met while on a singles cruise, and Ed fell head over heels for her. When they discovered they lived in the same city only a few miles apart, Ed was ecstatic. He immediately started asking her out when they got home. Within a couple of weeks, Ed had taken Carolyn to dance clubs, restaurants, concerts, movies, and museums. Ed became convinced that Carolyn was indeed his soulmate and true love. Every date seemed better than the last. On the 1-month anniversary of their first dinner on the cruise ship, Ed took Carolyn to a fine restaurant. While having cocktails and waiting for their salad, Ed said, "I guess you can tell I'm very much in love with you. I'd like a little serious talk before our relationship continues to the next stage. So before I get a box out of my jacket and ask you a life-changing question, it's only fair to warn you, I'm a total golf nut. I play golf, I read about golf, I watch golf on TV. In short, I eat, sleep, and breathe golf. If that's going to be a problem for us, you'd better say so now." Carolyn took a deep breath and responded, "Ed, that certainly won't be a problem. I love you as you are, and I love golf too. But since we're being totally honest with each other, you need to know that for the last 5 years, I've been a hooker." "That's all right," Ed said. "I bet it's because you're not keeping your wrists straight when you hit the ball." On a very windy day, a rabbi was walking along when a strong gust of wind blew his hat off his head. The rabbi ran after the hat, but the wind was too strong. It kept blowing his hat farther and farther away. A non-Jewish young man, seeing what had happened, ran after the hat, caught it, and gave it back to the rabbi. The rabbi was so grateful that he gave the young man $20 and blessed him. The young man was so excited that he decided to go the racetrack, and with the rabbi's blessing, he decided to check the program and place the entire $20 on a horse. After the races, he went home and recounted his very exciting day to his father. "I arrived at the 5th race and looked at the program. I saw this horse named Top Hat was running. The odds on this horse were 100 to 1, but since I received the rabbi's blessing, I bet the entire $20 on Top Hat, and guess what? He won. In the next race, there was a horse named Bowler at 30 to 1, so I bet the entire amount of my winnings on him. And guess what? I won again." "So did you bring the money home?" asked his father. "No," said the son. "I lost it all on the last race. There was a horse named Chateau that was a heavy favorite, so I bet everything on him. And since Chateau means hat in French, I figured he was a sure thing." "You fool," said the father. "Hat in French is chapeau, not chateau." Sighing to himself, the father then asked, "So who did win the race?" "A real long shot," said the son. "Some Spanish horse named Sombrero." The local news station was interviewing an 80-year-old lady because she had just gotten married for the 4th time. The interviewer asked her questions about her life, about what it felt like to be marrying again at 80, and then about her new husband's occupation. "He's a funeral director," she answered. Interesting, the newsman thought. He then asked her if she wouldn't mind telling him a little about her first 3 husbands and what they did for a living. She paused for a few moments, needing time to reflect on all those years. After a short time, a smile came to her face and she answered proudly, explaining that she had first married a banker when she was in her 20s, then a circus ringmaster when in her 40s, and a preacher when in her 60s, and now, in her 80s, a funeral director. The interviewer looked at her quite astonished and asked why she had married 4 men with such diverse careers. She smiled and explained, "I married 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, and 4 to go." A Catholic man goes to confession. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." He begins. "Go on, my son," says the priest. "I swore the other day in the most profane way," says the man. "Continue," says the priest. "I was on the golf course and I hit my drive. It was looking perfect, heading dead straight. About 200 yards down, my ball hit a power line crossing the fairway." "And this is when you swore?" asked the priest. "No, Father. My ball then ricocheted of the power lines and flew off into the deep rough," said the man. "Ah, so this must have been when you swore," said the priest. "No, Father, not yet. As I was walking over to the rough to hit my second shot, a hawk flew down from the trees, picked my ball up in his beak and proceeded to fly off with it," continued the man. "Ah, I see," says the priest. "This must have been the point where you swore. You'd think so, but no, because as the bird flew over the green, the ball fell from its mouth and landed just 2 feet from the hole." They both remain quiet for a few seconds. Then the priest says, "You missed the frigging putt, didn't you?" Lars was having a beer in a small-town tavern in rural Minnesota. "Would you like another beer?" says the bartender. "No, thank you," says Lars. "I'm a little short on cash this month." "Get laid off work at the tractor factory?" says the barkeep. "No," says Lars. "Last month was Helga and my 25th wedding anniversary, and it took every dime I could get my hands on to send her on a trip to Norway to visit her family." "That's quite a nice present," says the bartender. "What are you going to do on your 50th anniversary to top that?" "Well," says Lars as he pays for his beer, "if I can save up enough money by then, I would like to bring her back." Recently divorced, I moved back to my hometown, hoping to start over again. A few weeks later, while making a dentist appointment, I was surprised to see I recognized the dentist's name as a good-looking boy from my high school 20 years ago. However, upon walking into the dentist's office, I quickly realized he must be someone else. He was bald, had a big beer belly, and looked a lot older than me. Just to be sure, though, on my way out, I asked him if he went to the high school that I had attended. "Yeah," he responded. "I graduated in 91. "Oh my gosh," I excitedly said. "You were in my class." "Really?" He said. "That's interesting. What class did you teach?" A priest and a rabbi are seated next to each other on a train from New York to Boston. Wanting to start a conversation, the priest decides to impress the rabbi with the professional opportunities available to a cleric in the Catholic Church. After spending a reasonable time in a parish, a successful priest can expect to be considered for a position as a bishop, allows the priest. "That's very nice," responds the rabbi, sounding very unimpressed. "Then the best bishops will become candidates to be archbishops," continues the priest. "I suppose a young fellow could do worse," responds the rabbi. Still trying to impress the rabbi, the priest says, "And the very cream of the crop will be able to accent to the lofty position of cardinal." "That's nice," says the rabbi without much emotion. "One of these cardinals will be chosen for the highest position in the church and be selected by the College of Cardinals to be the Pope," the priest conveys with excitement. "It sounds like a very good job," says the rabbi, still sounding quite unimpressed. By now the priest is totally exasperated and hollers, "What do you want him to become? Jesus Christ himself." "Well, one of our boys made it," responds the rabbi. Father Murphy goes into a local bar in Dublin and approaches the first man he sees. "Do you want to go to heaven?" he asks, and the man says, "Indeed I do, Father." "Then for God's sake," commands the priest, "leave this pub right now." He then goes to the next man. "Do you want to go to heaven, my son?" And the man answers, "Yes, Father, indeed I want to do that very thing." "Then you must get out of this pub right now," orders the priest. Father Murphy continues this throughout the pub until he comes to the last man. Do you want to go to heaven, man? Exhorts the priest. The man looks at his half-full beer, turns, looks at Father Murphy and says, No, I don't, Father. You mean to tell me, young man, that when you die, you don't want to go to heaven? Asks the priest incredulously. Oh, well, when I die, yes, Father, I certainly do. I thought you were getting a group together to go right now.